Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we are back with another live stream of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, September 19th. Starting a little bit late today, but overall I'm in probably a lot better mood today than I was Monday. Took sort of a working day off yesterday. Got Dead Space 2 is all scheduled, I believe, and most of or half of the Boomsday puzzle solutions are scheduled too, so I'm now moving out of October with probably about 7 extra days. We'll see, if today's the 19th, then that probably gives us what, 11 days extra buffer, 11 days in a month, which is not great. I'm not really 100% sure what I'm even gonna do. I think I'm gonna be potentially just like flippant about what I record for November. The only thing I know I need to get back to is Borderlands 2. It's the Knights of the Frozen Throne event, so we've been given this play 40 Knights of the Frozen Throne cards, which I'm not 100% sure if there's going to be an easy way to do that, but I suspect this Tavern Brawl is actually going to help me. It's rather weird that they would allow you to do this. Is it just because we're approaching winter? Or we're now in winter? I'd say we're in fall right now. In the United States, so you could get 30 cards of the Knights of the Frozen Throne expansion and for $20, or you could buy 2 packs for $1.50 each. But why would you want to do Knights of the Frozen Throne cards? It's kind of weird that they're coming back and pushing this. Like, as it went, the Kobolds and Catacombs and the Witchwood and the Boomsday are all newer expansions, so why go back and push these cards, which weren't amazingly good? I mean, Unguru is the oldest expansion, so it's like they're pushing you to get cards from the second oldest expansion that's on the verge of becoming wild, unless they've decided to change that and Unguru and Knights of the Frozen Throne aren't going to be wild. Maybe they feel like Frozen Throne was the point where they've locked it in and cards don't need to all be automatically banned. The DKs have come out to celebrate Days of the Frozen Throne. I think a lot of this probably is just a cross promotion for World of Warcraft. Choose a class and you'll get random deck starter deck with start out with a Death Knight. Alright. So the Death Knight characters are coming back. I need to play Warlock. It almost feels like if I just play this a couple of times, I'll probably get all 3 of the daily quests done. Which would be alright with me. Yeah, there are a couple of games I know that there's some stuff that needs to be done. Like, I want to do Overlord 2, Half Minute Hero 2, because those are games I've covered, so I'd like to continue to cover the sequel. There's a huge collection of there's a just insanely huge collection of shooters and zombie games that I have. So the idea of doing a zombie January or something along that lines still makes a lot of sense. 1 damage for each damage your hero is taking this turn.
I must feed so many bloody
Probably should have just
decisions.
cast spells. Yeah, a lot of point and click games, a lot of hidden object games still. It's not an immediate just drop everything process. It really can't be. I need to come back and clean up the foundation that I had set up for my channel if I am going to try and change what I do.
It's science.
Let's see, that was not a card that did anything. We have a lot of games. Oddly, it feels like, you know, let me just double check that I'm recording because I reinstalled the Windows update and yeah, everything is working correctly. I installed the Windows April update again. One hopes and assumes that whatever the process was before that was causing it to lock up, my entire computer to lock up, is no longer an issue. Either because I waited a week and they patched it, or maybe I just had a really bad install. The fact that that can happen is unacceptable, 100%. We, for the most part, excluding the standard issues with Lego games running poorly on my computer for some reason. I assume it's my video card. It's been an almost bug-free experience this year as far as computer problems. There have definitely been games that have crashed, and I think that is not changing at all. So, lifesteal. Do I even have a lifesteal minion? Give adjacent minions.
My hunger grows. Mushroom power! Free me!
There we go. So we're in an interesting position now with PC Gamer muted, although I don't know if this is the new Twitter or what. I'm still getting a lot of ads on Twitter that were getting blocked before, which in all honesty, no, I don't want to support Twitter, even though I use it a lot. I don't want to support any company through ads or financially or anyway. It's like, I'm sorry, I've got more. I don't have enough time in my life to help a massive corporation figure out ways to make money off of me. Maybe it's not fair, but it's definitely true. But with my point there, I wandered off on a tangent. My point there is that with PC Gamer muted, the news stories are definitely different, and it feels like I have managed to let's see. I've managed to get a lot more things. You know what's going on right now is I cannot hear myself at the same volume level that I could hear me before, and it sounds very weird now. So the audio may be completely unbalanced, or the Windows update changes stuff. It's still changing a lot of things that I forgot to set up. Do I have any lifesteal minions? So yeah, let's go through the news. Let's try to be ambitious and speed this up. I actually may get all of the daily quests done relatively quick here. This is going to take a little bit of time playing this game. So Gamasutra was one of the ones I kept. I muted in the end Rock Paper Shotgun, PC Gamer, and a third person that I don't even know why I was following them in the first place. So Gamasutra has an article, Nintendo tries bundling Switch with free-to-play game Fortnite. Let's see. Nintendo announced a Fortnite Switch bundle earlier today with special in-game items and 1,000 V-Bucks, Fortnite's in-game currency. I saw somebody on Facebook that I follow these video game things, and they were talking about, if you could guess this, you would win. I'll give you season 6 of Fortnite, and I'm thinking to myself, do you buy seasons in Fortnite? I literally don't know enough about Fortnite to even know if that's the truth.
Relax, it's a party.
Pay attention, class.
Alright, we have a game on Steam, 60 Parsecs. Now, I'm fairly certain this is a spiritual successor to the game 60 Seconds, which is a game I wanted to cover. It came out on May 2015, but even since then, like 3 years later, it's never really gotten below maybe $5 for a game that is, at most, you're paying a premium for $2.50. This is like a small independent developer, so I can't 100% blame him for not wanting to undersell his product, but it has literally actively stopped me from buying his product for 3 years, because it has never been on discount low enough. 60 Parsecs and 60 Seconds are basically a resource management game. What happens in the first game is you have 60 seconds until a nuclear explosion happens. You run around your apartment and there are randomly placed items. You collect as many items as you can, and then you jump down the door into the fallout shelter, and then you are in charge of keeping your family alive, sane, and happy for as long as possible. In this instance of 60 Parsecs, you're in space and you're keeping your crew alive. Otherwise, it seems like it is basically the same game, probably with just some different, some slightly different storylines written for it. I imagine 60 Seconds can only be played for so long before you've just seen all of the versions, and very easily there's a possibility of just following a cheat sheet, and even if the outcomes are kind of randomized and there's a 50% chance of a good outcome and a 50% chance of a bad outcome, following the guide would probably be easier and better. It seems like this crew might, in 60 Parsecs, be a collection of more than 4 characters, but there seem to be only 4 seats. So you might, at the beginning of each run, have to decide who you're leaving behind. 60 Parsecs has 37 Steam achievements. It's 10% off for $13.49. Again, really expensive. The bundle if you buy both 60 parsecs and 60 seconds, is 25% off, so you could get both games for $18.78, which I don't know how much of a real upgrade that is, but probably is some small upgrade.
Job's done.
But also, this is a real game. This is not even something that I would say needs evaluation too much of. 60 parsecs is going on the wish list. It's mostly positive, 76% positive with 77 user reviews, and it came out September 18th. So that would be yesterday. Did that play enough warrior class cards? No, not really. So back into this point. We have like 3 things we're chipping away at as far as quests, but that took a lot of time. So we'll be talking about this this throughout the stream. I don't really disagree with the way YouTube has gone about to announce this, but it definitely speaks that they think that people who use YouTube gaming are young and stupid and can just be tricked. Because what they announced is that they're giving up on the YouTube gaming app. They are integrating YouTube gaming into the main YouTube website. And what that mostly means is that that gaming tab that's been on at the top of the trending tab is going to just be slightly better, slightly more improved compared to what it has been. They're integrating features and ideas that were in YouTube gaming into YouTube, but all of that is going to kind of get abandoned and forgotten, because this is effectively an announcement like 1 year later. I think it's only been a year, yeah, since they started the YouTube gaming side thing. It never really should have been a side thing in the first place, and so it puts in my mind, a very sour note on this. The announcement that they did is that they're graduating YouTube gaming and integrating it into the main game, into the main YouTube. And they're throwing us a bone, and like every Sunday, I believe it was, they're going to change the Creator on the Rise project to the video game Creator on the Rise. But that's kind of the only thing that they're doing that's new, whereas every other action is a direct, we're giving up support, we've given this up. This is not a gaming Creator on the Rise is the United States, and was one per week. And by the way, you have to have 1,000 subscribers to be eligible for the Creator on the Rise, so that's still very much, you're in that point
So
where
many bloody decisions.
where if you are a real creator who is slightly on the rise like my channel, you're not included. You still have to get the... What I'm saying now in 2018 is almost an impossible feat of 1,000 subscribers that are real subscribers that aren't just cheating and paying for subscribers. And I'm not just saying that from my own channel. When I look at other channels that I would like to see gain subscribers, and when I subscribe to them, I'm subscribing to people that have like 23 subscribers, and they're doing something cool enough that while it may be a niche of some sort, it still should have more than 23 subscribers by far. And when I subscribe to them and when I see them, they aren't jumping really far ahead. The only times I see anybody small get massive amounts of subscriptions is if they can get on Reddit, and usually it's via some controversy of somebody stealing or copy content IDing or accusing a YouTuber of something, or the YouTuber accusing somebody else of something. There has to be some kind of YouTube drama around it. So yeah, that's not cool. It's not a good system. It's not a cool system. And meanwhile, we are having a growing and nefarious attempt of the mainstream journalists and content makers who aren't on YouTube or aren't very successful on YouTube. They literally are trying to destroy like anybody's ability whatsoever from putting their opinions out on YouTube. They want YouTube to, they're trying to push YouTube into censoring, and I think a part of this is that they are trying to potentially have a second adpocalypse right in time for next year, by growing and writing and creating controversies, whether they really exist or not. So YouTube has this gaming thing that you can subscribe to that has like 78 million. By the way, anybody who is subscribed to YouTube Gaming has to go to YouTube Gaming before they shut down the site and transition their subscriptions over to YouTube Regular, because they were separate things. I imagine after the site shuts down, they will also try and have that pop up a box on your regular YouTube. So I'm on YouTube Gaming now, www.youtube.com/gaming. I see the first shelf, as they call them, the horizontal bars of clicks and links you can click on. The first shelf is top live games, and it's Fortnite Battle Royale, FIFA 19 that doesn't even have a picture, Tom Clancy Rainbow Six Siege, and Games Free Fire, which I've never even heard of. And then the second shelf is top live streamers, with a bunch of live streamers, all of which seem to be playing Fortnite or some other first kind of Fortnite clone. Next is a shelf is a gaming creator on the rise called Erin Plays, E-R-I-N. It's this girl who seems to have play Pac-Land, Mega Man 2, Mega Man 2 NES, Dr. Willy's Castle, He-Man, and it's, I mean, maybe I'd be cool with watching her, so I'll check her out. And then the next shelf is videos from your subscriptions, which probably isn't too much there. Next shelf is trending videos, and then we have what looks like Roblox or Fortnite or something. A lot of Fortnite. It's pretty ridiculous. I know it's super popular, so I don't know if I can blame YouTube for highlighting these super popular games. Then the next shelf is upcoming live streams, and then the next shelf is recommended, so you don't even get to the YouTube recommendation algorithm, or it would seem that way. It's not true, but until like the fifth shelf. But you know what you don't see here is it's not really a selection of games like that people would want to pick if you just want to watch somebody play a game. Let's see. I'm looking under. I clicked show me all the top live games, and I'm trying to see if I can find Hearthstone listed here. But I'm way low. I'm way low, and I have not seen a picture of Hearthstone. So unless
My hunger
Summoning portal open.
so yeah, unless I've just missed it. Either Hearthstone, here it is, way. So Hearthstone is live. So clicking on Hearthstone live, it says,
Need a key?
like I found myself, I guess, in 3 clicks. I am streaming Hearthstone live right now, and it says 1 person is watching, and looking at the competition, there's like 3 people watching elsewhere. There's a Russian person playing for 19 people watching right now, and it seems like you can subscribe to the game itself, which is interesting. So there's like 5.4 thousand people who are subscribed to the game Hearthstone, and that's an interesting, maybe new way that you could get more people on there. So maybe the YouTube gaming in some small way will get everybody a little bit more views. Yeah, I seriously doubt it, though. There's just too much. The camera's bugging me, darn it. Alright.
I must feed now. It's science food.
But even though that integrating YouTube gaming to the main system may very well improve visibility, it's not for YouTube really to try and spin the fact that they're kind of abandoning it like they did Google Plus and everything else. And, like, the problem here is we know Susan Wachowski does not have any interest in YouTube as it is, or what it is. She wants to turn it into something completely different, something that is not really compatible with what it is now, and she wants to turn it into regular old-fashioned TV, with regular old-fashioned
we must cleanse the Sunwell. Speak your peace.
Celebrities.
Coming through.
And so yeah, that's any side project, any idea that is a project led by somebody beneath Susan Wachowski is just not going to get the support of the higher ups. And if you don't have the support of the higher ups to take YouTube and really expand and improve upon it, which is not really what she wants to do, she wants to change it, and she doesn't really care about the small creators or the medium creators or even anybody that's not the biggest of the biggest creators. So anything that would help them is at best going to get mediocre support. But it's a bigger issue with Google in general, is that Google just, they love ideas, but they don't love putting in the work to ensure those ideas succeed. Like, you really can't say this is, and then it admits that Twitch has succeeded, but I think Twitch is on the verge of potentially becoming a lot more professional and corporate, so next TwitchCon will probably announce a lot of improvements and a lot of things that are being worked on right now.
Time melts away.
More than anything else, Twitch needs a few little features to just be stolen from YouTube and other sources, and just a lot of money. A much easier and open system. Like, if Twitch could say, day one, you are going to be able to make money, then that would be amazing. Like, that would be the ultimate Twitch has won the war idea. Because if they said, look, day one, we're going to run ads on your channel, on your streams, and you're going to make an extremely small amount of money, which is kind of what YouTube used to be, and like, that would be great. And Twitch doesn't inherently run into too much of an issue there, because what they could do is they could say, we're gonna just run Twitch ads for Twitch on channels until we verify that this channel is not running like racist propaganda or something on their channel. And that way, the only people that would really be upset is Twitch running Twitch ads on their own service. So no adpocalypse then. And YouTube could do the same thing too. It's like YouTube could give me ads right now, where all the ads were only YouTube ads, and they only paid like the minimum of like the smallest clicks per million, clicks per thousand of payback as possible. Like, at least then I'd be monetized. At least I'd feel good about it. There might be a little bit more announcements on YouTube Gaming being abandoned, basically. The one thing I would like to see YouTube kind of abandon, and it's not even true that I want to see them abandon it, their new video manager software, which nobody who doesn't make videos would see or deal with, but it would really be nice if they added new features to that in a better way, instead of seemingly what they're going to do is just replace what already exists with what seems to be inferior version of the current video manager software. Like, they've really not decided to add any new features yet. So if they would just abandon the YouTube video manager beta and say, look, we're not gonna do this, we're just gonna fix what we already have, that would be great, because a lot of what they're changing is just visual things. It's not ease of accessibility. Just yesterday, again, I was looking, how can I take these 30 videos that I recorded playing Dead Space 2, how can I get these to schedule and air at a specific day, say the same thing except for a different episode number, and just move forward. And we kind of know some of those features are built in for bigger streamers, where you can have series names and seasons and episodes and all of that, and like, they just never added that for other people.
You face Jaraxxus,
So yeah, it's still a nightmare. It's still a mess to schedule things. It's still a job that I would gladly pay somebody else to do if I could afford it. Although I was thinking about that too. If I'm gonna put some goals on my Patreon ever, I think I think I need to be more realistic, and I have to make the first goal pay myself. Like, before I pay somebody else, I think it makes more sense to pay myself. Oh man, this is certainly not going very fast. But until I play all the Warlock cards, there's no reason to stop playing this. It's just the same game over and over again. Moving on, I don't know how I got a PC Gamer article here. Like, I keep muting them, and they keep showing up, so Twitch is a mess. It really is. Not Twitch. Twitter. Twitter is a mess about apparently listening to whether you mute somebody or not. So I do have one PC Gamer article. Dead Rising studio Capcom Vancouver has been closed. Capcom announced earlier today games in development at the studio have been terminated, and apparently these were some kind of agreed contractually obliged games, so Capcom is losing money somehow by shutting it down. Let's see. Dead Rising 4 was released in 2016, so they would have been in the process of making a Dead Rising 5, you would assume, although maybe Microsoft has, I think, some license to that, is what I heard. And then they had like a Puzzle Fighter mobile game. That they worked on. Puzzle Fighter was removed from the App Store on July 1st, however the servers were shut down on July 31st. So, in a weird way, what this kind of breaks down to is when they got that success for Monster Hunter World, Capcom, I suppose in their mind, being a Japanese company, shifted back to what is, this is a stereotype and a generalization, but it's a generalization that's based on some fact, at least for the video game industry, that they seem to have probably, if I was to guess, reverted back to their standard xenophobic way of thinking, and they're going to shut down probably any other foreign studios if they had any. I don't think they do, and just focus on developing Japanese games in Japan, and that is that. There might very well also be some other reasons why it stopped being beneficial to have that Vancouver office, just as the world economy changes. And inherently, I don't disagree with them either. The whole idea of these video game companies having different offices all around the world only makes sense if you're trying to create these giant mega corporations where the Vancouver office is the equivalent of, in size and responsibility, as a regular business was. It is kind of the Walmartification of video game design. Gearbox Vancouver, I'm sure, is not getting much, if any, oversight day to day from Randy Pitchford, who's in Frisco, Texas. Like, no, if he's doing any oversight, he's doing it over the Frisco, Texas headquarters office, and Gearbox Vancouver is, for the most part, left to its own accord. And we've seen a lot of problems with games suffering directly because of a lack of people being in the same office. Just being able to walk to a different office and have a face-to-face conversation is a lot more valuable than it would originally seem like. There is also, I guess, a communication barrier between people in Vancouver speaking English or French and people in Japan speaking Japanese. So I'm all for medium-sized and small business in the video game industry. Like, it doesn't need to be a team of 10, but it also doesn't, we don't need these side offices in different places. Or
Stronger yet.
arguably, I would say, even as a person who kind of doesn't feel like companies should be able to sell stock, in this case, if the Capcom Vancouver office was its own business and Capcom just had a little bit of stock that they owned in that business, well, then the main Capcom couldn't just immediately
Come dance to my
shut down the entire operation like they were able to. So yeah, layoffs as we approach the end of the year. I imagine we will see more layoffs in that case. These must just be remnant PC Gamer articles from Monday. I have another PC Gamer article. Hearthstone to add 4 new classic cards, but in-game tournaments are on hold. Blizzard has revealed a plan for the next few months of Hearthstone as part of its In the Works update. Let's see. Including what's coming over the next few months, including improvements for new players, some fairly nebulous thoughts about future changes to Wild. I wouldn't be upset if they, now that Ben Brode is like no longer in charge, if they did something completely different with if they did something different with Wild and brought back a lot of the Wild cards that were never really problems in the first place. Standard could benefit from having a little bit more variety. Like they've gotten it so simplified on Standard that everybody's just playing the top meta decks, and that's no fun. And they've added 4 new class cards to the classic set. New class cards. What do they mean by class cards? Does that mean that the classic set of cards now, things that should have been more Murlocs are now going to be labeled as Murlocs, or things that should have been mechs are now going to be labeled as mechs? I'm not sure. Let's open this pack and then get further into this. That took a long time to get to this point. Just to open some classic cards, all 5 of which will just get turned into dust, because this is my main account, and yeah, all 5 cards. And also we got this gold card, which 2 I will turn into dust. There it is. Disenchant that. Put another 100 dust. And that's the best thing you probably could do with that. Now I don't have to play Murloc cards, I just need to play Frozen Throne cards. So I guess we make a deck. Let's call it Warlock would let me draw more cards fast. This here, and then this here, and then I will take the 2s here and just take a collection of as many 2s and 3s that I can play. And I wouldn't really be surprised if it turns out that we have a need for, there we go, to to hold on to this deck for a little bit longer. And that would be a standard deck, wouldn't it? So let's just play on casual. Well, it doesn't matter. Might as well just play here and see if we can get some wins, get some ranked wins. Let's see. The new cards. Blizzard explained that the yearly refresh that sees cards rotated out of standard format has also seen several class cards which otherwise remain playable in perpetuity sent to the Hall of Fame, meaning that they're only usable in the Badlands of the Wild. This has left some classes a little short on the allotted number of cards. The addition of 4 new ones will be available to craft or open from classic packs next month to intend to fill this gap. So I guess even they are starting to realize that, like, when I'm opening a classic card pack, I am not getting new cards because I've got almost a complete collection. And as soon as I started to get a complete collection, they are going to add some more. And 2 of them seem to be mage class cards, and 2 of them I think are rogue class cards, or maybe druid class cards. Like, I can't even tell. They plan to add in-game tournament support, announced earlier this year, has been shelved because it was having the opposite of the intended effect. Rather than improving the experience for everyone, the implementation they arrived at catered to a very specific audience of players. I fear what they're going to say here is that all those toxic video game players were doing the tournaments. Ultimately, we were forced to conclude that we needed to think about how and where we wanted to improve Hearthstone's overall social experience before we can tackle adding a satisfying and robust implementation of in-game tournaments that allow all players to enjoy. All players can enjoy. Let's do that. Just keep on playing cards. As developers, sometimes we have to make a difficult decision to step away from a design that isn't working. We no longer felt that the end result would deliver on everyone's expectation or high standards we have for Hearthstone. Inherently, I would say there is this issue of well, there's just an issue of it being really, really long to do a tournament. I don't know how you play a Hearthstone tournament that doesn't turn into a 3-hour plus experience. Like, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday you see me stream and it takes 3 hours to get the daily quest done. I'm adding one tournament a week and adding another 3 hours of gameplay would not be satisfactory to me at all. I could play this and it would kill everybody, or I could do this and then a couple people.
Let's eat. I sense your struggle.
It's not necessarily a permanent end to the idea. Blizzard said it wants to take another look at in-game tournament support sometime down the road, but for now the feature is on the hold for the foreseeable future. I think also maybe Hearthstone just wants its tournaments to be the only tournaments. They don't want to open the door that little comic book shops and nerd shops are having weekly tournaments of Hearthstone, and that some other competitor tries to make its own Hearthstone tournament without the endorsement of Blizzard. Let's see. Attack here.
Relax. It's a party.
Attack here. I still want to win, even though I'm really just trying to play cards. The new player experience will also be extended from rank 25 to rank 50. Accordingly, once a player hits rank 25, they cannot drop below it. We hope this gives players who are new to Hearthstone a little bit more time to get used to Tavern. And we'll also be giving a few free gifts along the way to help them get up to speed. So they are trying to improve the new player experience. But I don't understand these ranks. I'm at rank 20. Oh, so what this effectively, I guess, means is that you won't get to rank 25 until twice as long as it took me to get to rank 25, which I think you started at rank 25. So now every bad player who's playing Hearthstone is getting shoved way to the bottom of ranked, which like, I don't even know if I like that or not. As somebody who's going to be at rank 20, it means I'm not going to be playing with some crazy stupid people who are doing crazy stupid things. But those, usually the new players who are doing crazy stupid things are also the people I win for. So for me, this may mean very much that Hearthstone is going to get a lot harder, because I'll only be playing with good players and I'll never get those extra wins. Let's just keep on playing cards. Despite the tweaks and tuning, Blizzard is quite happy with the current state of Hearthstone. The post-Boomsday project meta is shaking out nicely. Overall, we're happy. Quote, overall, we're happy with the excellent diversity of decks we're seeing at all levels of rank play. While it's monitoring the status of Giggle and Inventor, there's no immediate plans to nerf it. It sounds like the Wild format could be in for some changes. However, Blizzard invited players to share their thoughts on Wild as it stands and what they'd like to see done with it in the future. Honestly, there's literally nothing you can do with Wild, because anything you do is going to either be nerfing old cards and changing how they work, which people won't be happy with, or banning cards directly so you can never play them. Blizzard also confirmed a Halloween-themed Hollow's End event will return October 17th with a dual-class arena, a tavern brawl against the Headless Horseman, seasonally appropriate decor, and some new treats, including a new paladin hero. I could have read all of this from Blizzard's on Hearthstone's own announcement, so I didn't need to get this news from PC Gamer, which is the thing I'm trying to keep an eye on, is like where the countdown clock is happening right now on when will the day come that I miss a actual news story that I actually would care about covering because I muted PC Gamer. And that day may never come, but it might happen pretty quickly. So yeah, some changes coming to Hearthstone, and it seems like new players are going to be sent down to the minor leagues, and maybe they will have a better experience because of that. And what else do you really say about that? It seems like they're gonna it might get harder for everybody. We need to keep an eye on the top streamers like Kriperian and Disguised Toast and the e-streamers, that the esports Hearthstone players that I don't really know the names of because I don't follow them. There is a slight difference between a YouTuber who plays Hearthstone all the time and an esports player who isn't streaming and is actually just playing the game. But we need to keep an eye on all of them and see if they start having a harder experience, because I certainly am not going to be a good sample. I may have a harder experience for no reason. As for what I'm doing, hsreplay.net still seems like it's the right move. Finding meta decks, getting a little bit better. In the end, I don't think I'm ever going to be super high in the ranked as long as I continue to play 3 different accounts for the amount of time I play those 3 different accounts.
Smelly fish! Yummy fish! Just one more.
Job's done. What does this say? Spell damage +1. We have a game on Steam called Prototype TD, as in Tower Defense. It's a garbage game. It's $1.99. Close that tab. Let's see, we don't need to talk about that again. We already talked about that. We don't need to talk about that again. We already talked about that. Honestly, I don't think there's a lot of game news that happened between Monday and Wednesday.
So many possibilities.
Wanna see the voodoo I do?
Just one more.
TechRaptor has an article. TechRaptor was not one of the ones that I was going to mute. Although I am still kind of very open to replacing TechRaptor with a different news source, or perhaps getting a different news source that fills in some of the gaps that TechRaptor doesn't cover. TechRaptor's article: the National Center on Sexual Exploitation condemns Steam's adult content filter. The National Center on Sexual Exploitation, a non-profit organization focused on, quote, exposing the links between all forms of sexual exploitation such as child sex abuse, prostitution, sex trafficking, and the public health crisis of pornography, end quote, has condemned Steam's adult content filter in a statement on their website. So it's important to at least know my interpretation of this group. A lot of these groups have these scientifically sounding, like very altruistic sounding titles, but really all they are lobbyist groups. And in the quote that explains what they are, there's some things here that a lot of people, or most people, or almost every person is going to agree with, that they aren't for sexual exploitation, and they aren't for child sex abuse, and they aren't for sex trafficking. But then they have tied it into prostitution, which a legalized and regulated prostitution is something a lot of people would be perfectly fine with, including some people in the United States, such as the entire state of Nevada, except for Las Vegas, and several countries around the world. Like, that's not a thing. That's where you get into the sex negative concern trolling. You're literally feminism, where you're telling a woman that she, in a regulated, safe fashion, still shouldn't be allowed to use her body the way she wants to make money. So you're removing her an opportunity to gain income, gain free will, gain independence. And it's not just women, it's also men too. And there literally is no public health crisis of pornography. It's a BS thing that's been propagated over and over again. It is the whole like frigid wives diagnosing their husbands as being pornography addicts. Like there's just no health crisis there. There really isn't. First of all, how can you have a health crisis when you can't show any negative health effects? Don't get me wrong, there are people who suffer from obsession and potentially are not going to work because they're looking at pornography, or potentially like not feeding themselves, but that is such a insignificantly small percentage of people that hardly qualifies as a public health crisis. And these organizations often get funding or supported by well, the Catholic Church and other religious organizations, and they really should not be given the credibility that they have managed to steal for themselves. Again, just because for the most part they have a fancy name that sounds like they deserve credibility. I'm pretty sure the National Center for Sexual Exploitation has put out statements against several things that they're kind of the equivalent, I guess, of the extremist, like, people for the PETA group, people for the ethical treatment of animals. Like, the name itself sounds good. Yeah, everybody wants ethical treatment for animals, but how they go about it and what they say, you can't really agree with. Now, this TechRaptor story goes back to the games almost being taken off of Steam, and when that was happening, there was some thought that perhaps the National Center for National Center for on Sexual Exploitation, they claimed victory that they were running this 2-year campaign of a dirty dozen lists of inherently them complaining about video games really is just an admittance that they don't understand the difference between reality and fiction. That's all it says. But Valve came back and said, no, us thinking about removing these games had nothing to do with that list whatsoever. So, that group. It's important to remember also that the National Center on Sexual Exploitation was formerly known as the Morality in Media and was formed in 1962 by an interfaith group of clergy. So I'm not just talking on my butt that most of these organizations are funded and formed by the most religious people. Which, when it comes to sex and religion, most religions have their own problems to deal with, and their basic, they need to focus on that, not whether or not fictional video game characters exist. Let's see. The National Center on Sexual Exploitation specifically highlighted negligee love stories. Using this game as an example, the NCOSE criticizes the ease through which people can bypass the adult content filter. There is, I think, a slight argument you could make that the content filter, oh my goodness, they're gonna be here all day. We're gonna be here all freaking day. it did not give me that quest until after I had done the previous quest. So we now have 5 tavern balls we need to do. Steam's content filter right now probably does need some improvements, and when you start to go and look at, like, oh yeah, there is 29 countries where you either have to very specifically verify the age, which I assume means in most cases you have to have a credit card on file that has your name on the credit card and your birth date, which is on all credit cards. So you can't use like your parents' credit card to get in this account. Although there's still always that issue of like, well, a kid could be on their parents' account and it could have a parents things, but governments are crazy, and some of them do have slightly stronger verifications, but that is not really an issue because like porn sites have been doing it for decades now. Porn websites have been able to age verify one way or another through just credit cards. Let's see.
The future,
but yeah, I do feel like they need a slightly better system, which would probably reduce the number of countries it couldn't be on sale for, but not by a significant amount. Like if there's 29, I think was the number that they removed it from on sale, and that story is still getting very much misreported as a lots of people are saying the game was censored in 29 countries or it was banned in 29 countries. No, to comply with the laws, they specifically they chose not to sell it. Now, as far as Japan, and it would be available in Japan if it was censored, in countries like that, it's really going to come up to the game developers. Do you want to have an uncensored game, sell it as an uncensored game, and then come back and say, well, in Japan, since nothing can be uncensored, we'll put a censored patch in it. And I think that would be perfectly fine. I think that is where this is all going to boil down to, is that we will have all games by default come out uncensored on Steam with a better age filter than what they've got right now, and that after that point there will be a censoring patch that will be applied to the version sold to people in Japan, which I imagine is pretty easy. Be pretty easy in Japan just to VPN out of the Japan region and still buy the game on Steam. Like, I don't think Steam's gonna spend any extra money locking down their systems to avoid region locks. And I just scrolled down to one of the comments on this story about the National Center on Sexual Exploitation, and it was not a kind comment. Well, the clock is counting down again, though. When are we gonna get the next good quality uncensored game on Steam? Also, apparently the developers of Negligee have a Kickstarter for their next game called My Senpai.
I must decide.
Also, Negligee Love Stories is actually the prequel to a previous Negligee game that was already on Steam that really didn't have anything in it, so that's kind of weird for their series. We've got Hint of Space on Steam as a game. It's a tile slide puzzle game. We've seen them before. Low effort, early access, 40% off for 59 cents. Just from these troll developers. I would like to see Steam improve its troll developer problem. Let's see.
Job's done.
Yeah, the troll developer issue is a much bigger issue right now than anything. Why they don't catch these people, I don't know. Maybe what they're doing is they're just letting them waste their money. Like maybe this really is just an effort for Valve to take money from idiots and put their troll games on Steam, so then that they don't have their money. A fool and their money is soon parted, is the old phrase. This is like locked down, and I don't think you'd be able to re-roll it. But the problem is the Tavern Brawl is going to go away, so we're just in a bad position. So we're just in a terrible position for the stream. Like, I still have plenty of news to talk about, plenty of games. Probably not that much news actually. But there's going to be 5 Tavern Brawls for each of the 3 accounts. And potentially, after I get the 5 Tavern Brawls, it's going to give me some other quest for 300 gold. But I want that sweet gold. Of course you want the sweet gold so that you can buy more card packs, so that when I do a card pack opening video I get that 1,000 views. Because that's the only bump I ever can find on this channel and on YouTube, is when I do brand new expansions come out on Hearthstone and I do card pack openings. That's the only thing I do that's new. If I perhaps had more funding, maybe I'd buy some brand new games day one and live stream them and do it that way. Sure, like that probably would get me some more views too. But doing anything that's a retrospective, doing any old game, even a month-old game, is just not getting any views at all on YouTube, and that sucks. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.